It's weird. I haven't thought about this in a minute. When I left his house, I called my therapist and I called my AA sponsor. I was just like kind of crying because I felt guilt because I saw such ugliness and darkness. And even though it's a character, it's like I felt guilty a little bit.
Welcome back to another edition of Scene Stealers, where we talk about our favorite scenes with our favorite actors. Today, we are lucky enough to have our good friend, Emmy winner, Paul Walter Hauser here. How are you doing, dude?
Studio audience, so good to see you. I'm doing well, man. It's always fun to see you. I feel like we align on a lot of stuff and like a lot of the same stuff. So this is very pain-free. This is just fun. You know?
Honestly, I've been so nervous for today because we have 2 interviews today, and I kept coming back to the fact, I'm like, why start with Paul? And Paul's my boy, so we're gonna be all set. We're gonna be great. We're gonna roll.
Who's the other person?
Billy Magnuson later today.
Oh, I'm buddies with Billy.
Are you?
Yeah, please tell him I said hello.
I absolutely will. Well, you're here promoting Balls Up, which is on Amazon April 15th. This movie, you're unbelievable.
Did you watch it?
I did watch it, yes. You are so goddamn funny.
I think it's really a fun movie, man. Like, this is the stuff I grew up on.
We have the opening scene of the show here, of the movie here, Balls Up.
There's one time that I was making love to a woman from, it doesn't matter where, but we were getting it on, and my testicles were becoming adjacent to things I didn't want them to become adjacent to.
What is happening here? What do we...
I don't know. I can't look away. May I suggest a change of clothes? Maybe a wetsuit.
Let Elijah finish, please. I relate to what you're saying because I myself have often felt a man's balls lightly tapping me from behind like pieces of warm dog shit dangling in a plastic poo bag. It's unnerving and disgusting.
That is unnerving.
Sorry, is Steve from HR here?
I didn't invite him. Ugh, the fun police.
Actually, I'm here.
Oh, fuck.
I love Molly Shannon so much.
What drew you to this project?
Wahlberg just FaceTimed me and was like, hey, the studio's throwing a bunch of co-star ideas at me. They're not bad, but they're not clicking for me. Would you want to do it? And I was like, holy crap. Yeah, obviously. And he and I had just been friendly previously and had kept in touch a little bit. And when I heard Pete Farrelly directing, Mark Wahlberg starring, the writers of Deadpool, Reese and Wernick, who also did Zombieland, I think, which I loved.
Yeah.
But all the auspices were there for a good movie. Mm-hmm. So I just had to read the script, and the script was super, riotously laugh out loud funny. And I thought, the way Pete Farrelly and I talked about it, it's kind of like the movie's really broad and raunchy and crazy, but it's really at its core character-wise. It's kind of like Wahlberg is Thomas Hayden Church and I'm Paul Giamatti in Sideways. And that dynamic I just thought was fun and interesting, and I like kind of playing more of the straight man.
Yeah.
And who things are happening to you and you're reacting, Pete Farrelly surprised me because he was so, I'd only seen this a couple other times in the 16 years I've been doing this. One of them was It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where I would see Charlie and Rob Mack and Glenn pair off to the side, and they would talk about stuff and you'd see their facial expressions and the way they're talking. And it's like they're scientists trying to cure a pandemic or whatever, but they're just talking about the dumbest joke, the dumbest comedy thing. And Pete Farrelly, similarly, like highbrow person doing lowbrow humor, trying to do all the mechanics to why is this funny? Why is it authentic? How does it play in the scene for the sake of the narrative? And I'm more fly by night, so I kind of need that directorship.
Yes.
To come in and make sure we're doing it the proper way, not just whatever floats our boat or makes us laugh in the moment,
Absolutely. Well, which is a great segue for our next scene. Richard Jewell, of course.
Stop trying to be their best friend. They're making fun of you out there. You know what they're calling you?
I know that! I know what it means when he says cop to cop. He doesn't mean cop to cop. He thinks I'm...
Do you?
The Pillsbury Doughboy.
I thought you guys were gonna get engaged. Hey, Richard, you go for a cookie right now? I'm gonna chop off your hands and shove them up your ass. Try eating a cookie then, fucker.
Why'd you want to represent me and be my lawyer?
Hey, you look like you needed some help.
You look like you might have needed money from a book deal.
Well, let me ask you, why'd you pick me? There's a lot of lawyers in the phone book. What'd you pick me for?
I picked you because you're the only one at the U.S. Small Business Admin Bureau who didn't treat me like a 5-year-old, call me bag of snacks and blimp. Michelin Man and Pillsbury Doughboy. You're the only one who treated me like a human being.
Come on.
Good movie.
Dude, I'm going to start with some questions about Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
I've heard he does one take and that's it. Is that true?
One or two.
One or two?
Yeah, one or two. 50-50 on that. I mean, listen, that was originally Jonah Hill and DiCaprio in those roles.
No shit.
When the movie got put together and they had a package for it at Warner Brothers. Or not Warner Brothers, Fox. But Clint does one or two takes famously.
Does that change your preparation? I'm sorry to interrupt you there.
Oh, no. Same prep. But what I did do, sneakily, surreptitiously was like, I'd say to the camera operator, Steve Campanelli, who's one of the actual best in the business ever at camera operating. And he's gone on to, I think, direct his own films. But Steve, I would tell him, like, I could really use another taker. He'd look at me and he'd go, "Hey, boss," to Clinton. He'd go, that pan or that zoom in, like, I can get it better. I'd like to get it better for technical reasons.
So he's got your back on that?
Giving me a second or third take.
Dude, that's fucking nice to have help like that.
Yeah.
Because I've heard the famous Clint Eastwood story when Matt Damon wanted another take, and Clint Eastwood said, "Why, you want to waste everyone's time? Let's go."
There was that, and there was, Kevin Costner on A Perfect World who wouldn't show up for some bit of coverage or something, and Clint ended up grabbing a stunt guy or a stand-in and having him wear Kevin's wardrobe.
No way.
Kevin's like, "What the heck are you doing?" Clint's like, "We're making a movie. What are you doing?"
Did you hear the Bradley Cooper one he told on Rogan recently?
I don't remember.
American Sniper, that they're using it's a doll.
Oh my God, I'm on Bradley's side there. What is Clint? What were you thinking, dude?
Like, I think Bradley
not a
said,
real
like,
baby.
he was like, "I just saved you $75,000 in the CG," and then he was joking when he did it in the scene, and then in post, he was like, "Nah, it looks great. It's all good." In the moment, that one did take me out. I admit that.
DiCaprio, J. Edgar, there was a moment where he wanted another take, and Clint was like, "We're going to lunch," and they were like turning the lights off while Leo was still sitting there. I asked him point blank. I said, "Dude, you're entrusting a $40 million biopic to a non-movie star. I'm in a character actor, I said, there are times where I'm going to need more takes. So there were maybe 4 or 5 times where I asked for more takes, and I think he granted 3 of those 5 times.
Okay.
And his producers were like, "He didn't give Sean Penn more takes. He didn't give anybody more takes. You're the only actor we've ever seen him give more takes to."
Really?
I was like, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but
That's a great point.
I was happy I got to do it. And that scene in particular, the story behind that scene was that there were 2 versions of that scene that Billy Ray had written. There was some crossover, but there were 2 different versions. And we shot both, and I was kind of like, I didn't feel like we were getting it, and I was being really hard on myself, beating myself up, kind of like, this isn't working. Rockwell is super empathetic to other actors, and he was like, Clint, I think Paul wants to try another version. And somehow we came to the agreement we're going to improvise and just do a Frankenstein of the 2 versions and just let whatever comes out.
Yeah.
So me kicking the table was improvised, and some of me and Sam's dialogue was improvised.
Cookie jar?
The cookie jar I planned, where I just said to Campanelli and the ops, I said, I talked to the prop guy, I was like, "We only got one of these cookie jars on the last take. I want to break it and have that moment." And so I said, "Make sure you tilt down or whatever you got to do to get it."
Yes.
And it turned out really great, but that was a scene where, like, all throughout post-production, I was like, I don't know if we got that. And then people come up to me and tell me it's one of their favorites.
And you saw it, and it's a masterpiece. With Sam Rockwell, I remember I read you were learning from him, because you were, as you said, you were a character actor. It's your first time kind of as a lead.
He's brilliant.
You were seeing not just learning in front of the camera though, also learning behind the camera what it takes to be a lead on a movie, like what that responsibility is like.
He had that thrust upon him when he did Confessions of a Dangerous Mind in like 03 or 04, I forget, 02. And he said, there's a lot of pressure with that, and he has his advice based on what he does. He had like a lasso, like a rope, and he did roping between setups.
Sam Rockwell?
And that helped him somehow. And I think he learned to do it when he did that Broadway play.
American Buffalo.
No, I think it was before that. It was
I saw American Buffalo twice. I thought he was unreal in that.
Yeah, I heard it was good. I'm mad I missed that. He did some play back in the day. I think a Sam Shepard one with Nina Arianda, and he said he learned how to rope on that, and he's picked it up.
Kept up with it
ever since. But one thing I've learned about being leader on a set in any capacity is you gotta hold space for a lot of people. And if you just isolate and you're just in your actor world the whole time, it doesn't create a good set environment, I don't think. Now, that's somebody's process. It's their process. That's fine. But I have to crack a joke and check Twitter and show each other YouTube videos and like have a social life on set with all the people that are there. And I think it makes for a better environment. But there are times like with Blackbird or Richard Jewell where it's more intense, and I don't really say like, hey guys, don't talk to me, I'm in a place. But I'll put my earbuds in and listen to the National and pace the walls and have my head down. I think people are mature enough to get what's going on.
All right, next scene here. Blackbird.
So the women you've been with,
They're dry as pine bark. It's all scratchy, you know?
so how do you penetrate then?
Penetrate?
Yeah.
I just kinda... jam it in.
You're okay with that?
Well, I don't care. The girl? I don't care. Do you? Do you care what the girls think of you after?
Only once. She was, she didn't like the way things were going down too much.
Was she what?
Huh?
Was she?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't believe it. What's going on?
Dude, that, when you do the shake there, I don't believe you.
Oh, yeah. The first time I saw the show was at Dennis Lehane's house in Santa Monica, and we were in his basement theater. And there were one or two moments where, when I left, it's weird. I haven't thought about this in a minute. When I left his house, I called my therapist and I called my AA sponsor. I was just like kind of crying because I felt guilt because I saw such ugliness and darkness. And even though it's a character, it's like I felt guilty a little bit, or like I just felt a little fucked up about it.
Really?
And,
now, have you spoken to other actors about that feeling? Of other people felt that after taking on like a darker character?
I haven't. It's a hard thing to talk about, and I think I also just, you know, there's a story where Jack Black, I think he said this on Sam Jones's show, on off camera or on camera or whatever it's called. But he said he was doing High Fidelity and he wasn't nailing a scene and they were going to shoot it again the next day, and he knew that he was the reason they were reshooting it. He was in the shower and he just repeated this mantra. He said, all of the fucking way, all of the fucking way. And he's like telling himself, you have to go all the way. Go all the way. And I kind of had that same mantra, I would say, in the shower during Blackbird. And so you think the thoughts that the character's thinking so that it'll come out of your eyes and your body language.
And now, when you win the Emmy, what is it like? What is that like? What happens the moment you hear your name?
I think the moment you hear your name, you're like, make sure you hug your wife and don't trip on the way up there. That was my thought. But with the Emmy and the Golden Globe stuff, it was very much surreal. And, you know, when I got the Globe, I saw Tarantino. He was there for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood at the Globes, and I saw him when I was up on stage, and I said, man, it's like a wax museum with a pulse, which, you know, is a line from Pulp Fiction, but that is how I felt, because when I look down, I see my buddy Margot, and there's Brad Pitt and Colin Farrell, people, Spielberg, people I'm a big fan of, and it was very surreal that they're all, for 70 seconds, they're all staring at you.
That's crazy. Going into it, like in your heart of hearts, did you expect to win? Did you think no shot I win? Where was your head at?
Put it this way, with any performance, I know if I did a good job or not. I'm not one of these actors who is like, I never watch my work. It's like, I have to watch it because I got to get better, and I only get better if I learn what I did or didn't do. And I can objectively look at something and know when it's really good or when it's subpar. So I wasn't really thinking about winning. To me, watching the show, I knew I had won because I knew I did a good job. Thanks. But there are certain things like there are certain things performance-wise, like I'm insanely proud of Richard Jewell, Blackbird. I'm insanely proud of Cruella, where I think my comedy was at a high level and I got the accent down right. It's like, there's certain things where I'm like, I don't need a trophy to know I did the job. But the trophy's fun. It's a fun moment to have people you admire clapping for you and coming up to you, and you know, that's cool.
Is the next morning any different? Like, is there any?
No, you go back to your real life. I'm day to day, I'm changing diapers.
There's no sense of like, damn, I fucking did. Like, that's the thing, right? You got the gold man.
No, you always just want to keep climbing the rungs.
Yeah. So you just want an Oscar next.
It's all about ambition of, I want to produce, I want to direct, I want to screenwrite, I want to win an Oscar, I want to start a nonprofit, I want to host Saturday Night Live. All the wants never go away; they just become bigger or higher. But what you realize is I've come to a place now where, like, last year, and I don't know if my PR or my reps or anyone approves of me doing this, but I have to be honest with people. Authenticity is all I have. Mm-hmm. That's all I have. That's my currency. I'm not sexy. I'm not super wealthy. I'm not a lot of things, but I pride myself on being authentic. Last year I had like 5 movies come out. I did a cameo in a Kevin James movie called Playdate. I did Luckiest Man in America, Fantastic Four, Naked Gun, and Americana. And of those movies, it's like Playdate's a cameo. Luckiest Man in America didn't get to as big of an audience as I would have liked. Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere, didn't get received the way I thought it should and would. Fantastic Four, they cut half my scenes. Americana did not have a big rollout, and Sydney was going through her blue jean issue.
That's right.
So, like, I say all this to say, I'm trying to tell people, if you're watching this, especially if you're an actor, filmmaker, even at the height of your career where you are putting out indies and a Marvel movie and a wildly popular, well-received Naked Gun movie, it's like, it's still not going to be whatever you're thinking it's going to be. You're still going to have a bunch of hiccups, and you can be wearing the nicest shirt, but still get that mustard stain on it. Dude. And that's kind of like, that is a truism about this business. And you find that your real joy is in making it. The real joy is you got to meet 80 new people and go on a journey with them and tell a story, and you're proud of what you did. And then it's fun a kid will come up to me in the airport and be like, "Are you Stingray from Cobra Kai?" It's like that means more than the Emmys and the Golden Globes, because you know it's enhancing somebody's life, that when they're having a bad day, they turn on Cobra Kai or I Think You Should Leave or It's Always Sunny, and they see my face and I help make their day better, because they do that for me. Yeah. They do that for us, you know?
And we're going to end it with a great one. As you mentioned, The Naked Gun.
Oh, yeah.
An
Good
unbelievable. Movie. Did you know, dear listener, that Fast Growing Trees is America's largest and most trusted online nursery with thousands of trees and plants and over 2 million happy customers? They have all the plants your yard or home needs, including fruit trees, privacy trees, flowering trees, shrubberies, that's a Monty Python reference, and houseplants. They're all grown with care and guaranteed to arrive healthy. Whatever you're looking for, Fast Growing Trees helps you find options that actually work for your climate, space, and lifestyle. I have them all over my house. I have them all over my balcony, because walking home to beautiful trees in your house just makes you feel better. It's a nice way to end the day, maybe more welcoming home, makes you just feel like more of a home, makes you feel like more of an adult. It's better across the board. Have trees in your house. You don't need a big yard or a lot of space. You can grow lemon, avocado, olive, or fig trees indoors, along with a wide variety of houseplants, all grown with care and hand-selected to thrive in your home. Right now, they have great deals on spring planting essentials, up to half off on selected plants. That's a lot. And listeners to our show get 20% off their first purchase when using the code SCENE, SCENE, at checkout. That's an additional 20% off better plants and better growing at fastergrowingtrees.com using the code SCENE, SCENE, at checkout, fastgrowingtrees.com/scene. I'm sorry, fastgrowingtrees.com, code SCENE. Now is the perfect time to plant. Let's grow together. Use code SCENE, SCENE, to save today. Offer is valid for a limited time. Terms and conditions may apply. Thank you very much.
Coffee?
Yes, thank you.
Don't be shy, fellas. Come
My
check it
favorite
out.
bit in the movie is the coffee.
Everybody says the coffee, yeah.
Snug.
All electric, 0 to 60 in 3.1 seconds.
I guess that's good.
Watch this. Car, open doors.
Neat trick.
Now you try.
Car, please, close doors.
Hey.
Pretty fun, I guess. Okay, how about this? Car, drive forward 30 feet. Pretty smooth.
Hi.
Impressive.
Hey, guys, don't right there.
So this is The Naked Gun. It was directed by Akiva Schaffer, written by Doug Mann and Dan Greger, as well as Akiva Schaffer.
Thanks for
as well.
shouting out the writers. They did a tremendous job with Akiva.
They did fucking great. And that is a question I have for you is you were on record as improv every fucking time. Improv.
Yeah.
Ask permission, not forgiveness. I'm sorry, ask forgiveness, not permission.
Yeah.
Was there freedom to improv on this? Because the script is so tight. Like, were you pretty much
There
sticking to-
was and there wasn't. Akiva was kind enough to let us play a little bit, but I very much, sometimes like at the end of a scene, if they're still rolling, you'll give it a little button of some kind, comedy or dramatic. But with this, it was like a high wire act. We're trying to honor the tonality of something from 30-something years ago.
Yeah.
And to a testament to Akiva and Dan and Doug, all the creatives involved, they nailed it. And that was part of the method to that madness, was not improvising and not believing you knew better, because at the end of the day, you're trying to nail this uber specific thing. It's what I always call it a target on a target. It's like, it's not enough to get in the red bullseye. You have to get in the middle of the red bullseye.
Yeah.
And that's actually hard to do. It's hard to play a straight man and not improvise when you're used to doing loud comedy and improvising. So that was a tricky one, but it was also, I trusted the team. It felt like if this is ever going to get made, they're ever going to reboot this or whatever, this is a way in which it might actually work. You know,
This also has so much physical comedy. Physical comedy and scripted comedy. I feel like physical comedy we haven't had as much as of late. Would that be accurate, you think?
I think culture has gotten to a point where we've taken ourselves a little too seriously, maybe. Also, there are things that have dictated us taking ourselves seriously that I understand, because the world is screwed. But but yeah, I loved Michael Richards on Seinfeld and the physical comedy he did. Ty Burrell on Modern Family did it well.
Yeah, that's a great call, yeah.
Obviously Farley and stuff. So I'm always trying to like find a way to add physical comedy into things.
I think for a while we did it. We all thought we were above it, we were bigger than it. And I think
one of the greatest scenes of any movie ever, not comedy, not physical comedy, one of the greatest scenes of any movie ever is Jim Carrey beating himself up in a bathroom in Liar Liar.
Liar Liar, dude, yeah.
It's unbelievable. The first time you saw that, your mind was blown.
Dude, when he's writing the blue on his face with the pen.
Yeah,
I think Michael Che had a very good like Instagram story where he's talking about the disrespect comedians get by the Academy and things like that. And he was saying
agree. Yeah.
Jim Carrey should have gotten one for Liar Liar. Eddie Murray should have gotten one for Coming to America.
Listen, I love award season. I think it's fun. It's, for me, it's like, if you're a sports nut, there's no greater time than, you know, the back-to-back nature of like the Super Bowl and then March Madness.
Yeah.
You know, summer baseball, whatever the thing is. I don't take the Oscars that seriously because they didn't nominate John Goodman for Best Supporting Actor for The Big Lebowski.
Oh. So you still hold a grudge over that?
Not even a grudge. It's literally somebody saying, like, the pen is blue. It's like somebody saying, John, your buddy John, who you're doing an interview with, John is Persian. And I'm like, I'm sitting right next to him. He's nothing wrong with being Persian. He's not Persian. John Goodman in Big Lebowski is one of the 10 greatest supporting performances in a movie of all time.
I agree with that.
And if you're not going to nominate him for that, then why should I take you seriously?
That's pretty fair.
It sounds kind of mean. The Academy's going to be like, well, screw you. Yeah. Next time you do one of your dramas, we're not going to, whatever. You know, the year I wasn't nominated for Richard Jewell, Adam Sandler wasn't nominated for Uncut Gems. De Niro wasn't nominated for Irishman. Taron Egerton wasn't nominated for Rocket Man. It's like, these are some of the best performances of that year, and they also were left out of the 5-man conversation. So it's like, you can't get mad about that stuff. It is what it is, you know.
Like you said, you got to find the joy in the process. Find the joy in making it.
And sometimes that process is going through awards season like Blackbird, and you're eating finger sandwiches that you didn't pay for, and you're meeting directors and people you admire, and it's really fun. I try to make that stuff fun, you know. I brought smash burgers to award shows as like a punk rock thing of like, you people don't feed us at these things. You give us arugula and some olive tapenade. Like I was handing out burgers to, you know, Austin Butler and Jamie Lee Curtis and Adam Sandler.
No shit.
And it's like, you know, that's a way to also just make it fun, have fun. I've been, dude, when I said at the Emmys in 2022, I was presenting an award for best writing, which went to the Jesse Armstrong for Succession. And I was sitting at a table with John Legend and Nick Holt and Elle Fanning, all these people. And it was so sterile and it was so awkward and it wasn't fun. And so I just started like roasting the Emmys at our table while we were sitting there. And before you knew it, everybody loosened up and Nick Holt and I were having fun. And who's John Legend's wife? Chrissy Teigen brought out a tinfoil thing of like roasted chicken from backstage that John Legend had in his room, and she's like, "Do you guys want chicken?" And me and Nick Holt are just eating chicken off the bone in the middle of the broadcast. Like that, I just like to bring it. Everywhere I go, if it feels stuffy, I got to bring it down to the realness and make everybody be a more authentic, comfortable version of themselves. You know,
that's great advice. And my advice is go watch Balls Up April 15th on Prime.
Funny movie.
Funny fucking movie.
Sorry it's not The Shawshank Redemption. Enjoy yourself and have a laugh.